Hi guys, long time since I last did a video, so I thought I would check in today. Today I reached 6 months of daily morning meditation, so 182 days, and I wanted to share that with you guys because I'm really proud of it, and it's a really important milestone for me. So I've set the challenge of doing 365 days of meditation, and I set that challenge at the beginning of this year, and there were a number of reasons for doing that, and I guess I just wanted to share the reasons with you guys, and just share a little bit about why I meditate and what that gives me, in case you maybe are considering it for yourself. So when I decided to take on the challenge, I had been through a really difficult experience in my life. I lost my mum last year, and about 6 months after the loss, which is kind of, I guess, maybe around the time when the dust has settled and things start to sink in, and reality starts to take shape, and you realise sort of what's happened. And at that point I hit what I would call rock bottom. I reached a point where, in my mind, there really weren't many reasons for me to be here anymore, literally be here anymore. I'd lost both my parents, and although I'm an adult and although I am capable and brave and resilient, and I have all of those qualities, I got to a point where I couldn't really see a future, not because I didn't think I had anything to live for, but just because it felt so hard. Everything felt like a struggle. Just getting up and out of bed every day felt like a real struggle. It was a really dark time for me, and where I'm normally quite a positive, outgoing person, I didn't want to see anybody, I didn't want to go anywhere, I didn't want to talk to anybody, I certainly didn't want to talk about how I was feeling, and really that kind of just made the situation worse, I think. And I've done meditation for probably coming up for about 10 years now, and I know from my experience of it previously that it's the one thing that, if I'm struggling to deal with the stresses and strains of life, it's the thing that kind of keeps me grounded, pulls me back together, gives me a sense of stability that I otherwise can't always find in the world and in the day-to-day. So I made the decision that I wanted to meditate every day because I knew it would be the one thing that would make the difference. In my head, when you do something like meditation, you're giving yourself space, and you're giving yourself space away from the issues that you might be having, and the way you might be feeling, and the thoughts that you might be having that could be really scary and overwhelming, and it just gives you that space to switch off from all of that. And when you are in that place, as I was, that there wasn't really much light in the darkness, I knew that I needed to create that for myself, and I knew that meditation was the one thing that would make the difference. So I guess maybe I should explain a little bit about how meditation helps me, so that you can understand it. So from the point of doing my meditation, from the point of starting my meditation, I could feel a sense of calm. After I would meditate, I would feel a sense of calm which would last throughout my day. And as the days pass, that sense of calm stays with me for longer. So where at the beginning it might stay with me for like an hour, now it kind of stays with me throughout the day. And it means that when I'm up against something that's challenging, or when I'm in a situation that's stressful, or when I'm struggling to juggle things, the life can be really busy and hectic, and sometimes I find it a challenge to juggle everything. And having that practice, having that space, just allows me to stay grounded and allows me to stay out of my head, and stops me from getting too caught up in the thoughts that I might be having or the worries that I might be experiencing. And I think that's such an important and powerful thing that we can all do for ourselves. I think we often believe that our minds hold the power and that our thoughts are real and that they are factual, and often the thoughts that we have really aren't. And if you're in a bad place, if you're in a place where your thoughts aren't particularly supportive or aren't particularly positive, creating some distance from that is so important. Like I can't emphasize enough how important that is, because in that space you start to realize that actually there is hope and there is a future and there is a way forwards, and there are things that you can be grateful for, and there are things that are worth living for. I find that with meditation, it just changes who I am, changes how I show up. It helps me to feel happier, more content. It's a bit like if I was in a million pieces, it draws all those pieces together and takes shape as me. And that's quite hard to explain to someone if you've never done meditation before. But some of the most powerful and most influential people, some of the often the MDs of companies and big CEOs, they all have a regular meditation practice. This isn't something that I do just because, just for the fun of it, if you like. I do really enjoy my meditation practice, but I do it because I feel the benefits of it. I do it because it makes such a huge difference to how I feel about the day. And in particular, doing it in the morning when the mornings are quite quiet. It gives you a chance to wake up. It's before your brain starts being really active, so you give yourself that space, which then allows you to start the day in the way that you would want to. You can think a little bit more about, how do I want to approach today? How do I want today to look? Who do I need to be today in order to have the best day that I can? And that's what meditation gives me. It gives me that space. It gives me that ability to choose how my day is going to be, to choose how I'm going to show up, to choose how I'm going to feel about things. It helps me with how I respond to situations where, let's say, for example, somebody is critical of me. That regular practice that I have allows me to have slower thoughts, allows me to choose my responses in a different way, to not react impulsively, to not react in a way that is super emotional, because often when you get caught up in an emotional situation, you can respond in a way that with hindsight you might not respond, or you might do differently. And for me, meditation gives me that distance, that ability to almost witness my thoughts, witness my reactions. And if someone triggers something in me, if someone says something and it triggers my stuff, the meditation practice that I have, it allows me to witness what's going on for me and to be curious about that, instead of getting caught up in the story and believing that I'm right and they're wrong, or instead of getting caught up in the feelings that I'm experiencing. I can create that distance and I can create that different perspective that otherwise I might not have. So to reach 6 months, to reach a point where I've been meditating every day for the last 6 months, every morning, and to know that that will be a part of my everyday is huge. And you know, I guess the biggest benefit that I've had from that is that I do have hope. I do see a future. It has brought me out of that place that I really didn't think I would get out of. And maybe you can label that as depression. And, you know, I haven't taken antidepressants. I don't really go down that route. That's not a route that's for me. And for me, meditation was my way of bringing myself out of the hole that I felt I was in. And it has worked in ways that I really didn't maybe appreciate at the time when I set the challenge. And I've been so committed to it, and I'm so proud of my commitment to it and my investment in myself, because that's the other thing about meditation is it's not just about the act of creating space, it's actually about the act of taking care of yourself and giving yourself some self-care. And you know, self-care, self-love, they're terms that are thrown around and people talk about the importance of it, and it really is. It's one of the most essential things. Like when you start to take care of yourself, when you start to value yourself enough, value the life that you have enough, you start to invest and do things that you know are going to support you and that you know are going to make things better. So if you haven't started a meditation practice, if you've never meditated before, if you've dabbled with it and picked it up and put it down, wherever you are, if it's something that you're curious about, if it's something that even a tiny little speck of your mind thinks, oh, I'd quite like to know about that, then I highly, highly recommend starting a practice. And it can be as simple as starting with 1 minute a day. It doesn't have to be, you know, I meditate for half an hour each morning most days. Sometimes I only meditate for 10 minutes. It doesn't really matter how long. The fact is the intention that's behind it. It's the fact that you are consciously creating space for yourself, consciously creating time just to be, not to be doing stuff, not to be busy, not to be worrying about what you're going to be doing that day, or how you're going to pay your bills, or how your relationship's going to work out. It's not about any of those things. It is literally just about being in that moment. And in that moment, in that point of being in the present, in the now, you realise that actually, as a being, you're okay. Like, there isn't anything wrong with you. There isn't anything wrong with what's outside of you, because being in the now gives you that presence, and you can't get caught up in the rest of the things that are going on around you. So if you don't have a practice, I would really, really recommend it. If you ever want to know about meditation, I'm always happy to answer questions. I'm going to be doing some videos on different ways that you can meditate and different techniques, because it's not just about sitting for long periods of time. Like, that's how I do things, because I've been doing meditation for a long time. But that doesn't mean that that's how your practice has to start. But it does, you know, if you can start somewhere, work with what you have, work with what you like, and take it from there. Like, you'd be amazed at the difference it's made. Like, it's completely changed my life over the years. It's changed how I approach situations. It's changed how I manage my stress. It's changed how I experience anxiety. I used to always experience anxiety. Since I've been meditating, I don't have the same anxiety. Yes, there are things that sometimes make me feel a little bit anxious, but generally speaking, I'm a lot stronger for the meditation practice that I have, so the anxiety doesn't take over in the way that it would. And when you've lost both your parents, there's quite a lot of stuff that can be quite painful that you're thinking about and worrying about, and it can be a really difficult time. And to have that thing that gives you that anchor, and especially in my case with the loss of my parents, like, I didn't have that anchor, and I needed to have that. I needed to find that for myself. And the beauty of what I have created in my daily practice is that I have created an anchor for myself. I have created a point that I can come back to every day and just come back to myself and know that I'm actually never alone, because I always have myself. And I just think that's so important. So I'm such a massive advocate of meditation. So I'm not saying you have to go and spend 6 months in a monastery in order to like experience meditation. You can start literally today with just a minute of focusing on your breath, focusing on the inhale and the exhale. And as you do that, a minute will turn into 2 minutes, will turn into 5 minutes, will turn into 10 minutes. And you'd be amazed at the difference that it can make. So I just wanted to share my little win, if you like, and talk a little bit about meditation, talk a little bit about what it gives me, and why I do it and how helpful it's been. And I hope that helps you, and I hope that if you are thinking about it, that maybe you'll think more seriously about it, maybe you'll even take action. So that's the end of my little share for today, and I will see you again soon. Bye.